You bought an aloe vera plant because someone told you it was impossible to kill. 3 months later, the leaves are brown, mushy, or bent in half like they've given up on life. Here's what nobody mentions when they call aloe easy. There's a difference between surviving and thriving. And that difference comes down to 7 specific things most people get completely wrong. One of them is so counterintuitive that when I finally learned it, I had to rethink everything I thought I knew about watering plants. Stick around because I'm counting down all 7 tips, and number 1 might be the only thing standing between your aloe and the trash can. Aloe vera has this reputation: beginner-friendly, low maintenance. The plant you give to someone who kills everything. And that's partially true, but only if you understand what aloe actually needs. The problem is most care advice treats aloe like any other houseplant. It's not. It's a succulent that evolved in dry, harsh climates. It stores water in its leaves. It expects long stretches of drought. And when you treat it like a fern or a pothos, that's when things fall apart. I'm going to count down 7 essential tips, starting with number 7 and building to the most critical one at number 1. Get these right and your aloe won't just survive. It'll thrive for years. Number 7, fertilizing the right way. Let's start with number 7, fertilizer. Here's the truth most people don't realize. Aloe doesn't need much food. In fact, too much fertilizer causes weak, stretched-out growth that looks worse than no fertilizer at all. What aloe wants is a light boost twice a year. That's it. Once in spring, once in summer when it's actively growing. Use a succulent or cactus fertilizer, but here's the key: dilute it to half strength. Full strength is too intense and can burn the roots. And never ever fertilize in fall or winter. During those months, aloe goes dormant. It's resting. Adding fertilizer then is like serving a big meal to someone who's already asleep. It doesn't help. It stresses the plant. If you prefer natural options, compost tea or diluted worm castings work beautifully. They're gentle, they improve soil health, and they don't risk chemical buildup. This simple twice-a-year routine is what separates aloe that just survives from aloe that actually thrives. But trust me, there are bigger issues we need to talk about. Number 6, temperature and humidity. Number 6 is all about keeping your aloe in its comfort zone. Aloe thrives between 55 and 85 degrees Fahrenheit. That's the sweet spot. Below 50 degrees, growth slows. The leaves can suffer damage. If it gets exposed to frost, the plant can die, period. If you keep aloe outdoors in summer, bring it inside before temperatures drop in fall. Don't push your luck. I learned this the hard way one year when I thought I could squeeze out one more week of outdoor time. My aloe did not forgive me. On the other end, keep it away from heating vents, radiators, and drafty windows. Sudden blasts of hot or cold air stress the plant and dry out the leaves faster than you can recover them. Now, humidity is less of an issue. Aloe handles average indoor air just fine. What you want to avoid are constantly damp environments, like poorly ventilated bathrooms. Too much moisture in the air can slow how quickly the soil dries and invite fungal problems. Treat aloe like a guest. Let it enjoy fresh air and sun in warm months, but bring it in when the weather turns. Simple as that, but temperature is just one piece of the puzzle. Number 5, choosing the right pot. Number 5, the pot you choose changes everything. And most people get this wrong from day one. Terracotta or clay pots are the best choice for aloe. Why? Because they breathe. Moisture evaporates through the walls, helping the soil dry at the right pace. Plastic traps water. It keeps the soil wet longer than aloe wants, and that creates problems we'll talk about in a minute. And this is non-negotiable. Your pot must have drainage holes. If water can't escape, it sits at the bottom, drowning the roots, no matter how careful you are with watering. Even the best soil mix won't save you if there's no way for excess water to leave. If you find a cute pot without holes, either drill some in or use it only as a decorative cover around a proper nursery pot. Here's something most guides skip. Aloe prefers pots that are shallow and wide rather than deep and narrow. The roots spread horizontally, not vertically. A shallow pot keeps the plant stable as the leaves grow heavy and prevents the soil from holding more moisture than necessary. Every 2 to 3 years, repot into fresh soil. This keeps the roots from getting cramped and gives the plant room to keep expanding. The pot isn't just a container. It's part of the system that keeps your aloe alive. But even the perfect pot won't help if you mess up what comes next. Number 4, using the right soil. Number 4, soil. And this is the mistake hiding beneath the surface that most people never even think about. Aloe is a succulent. That means it needs soil that drains fast. Regular potting soil holds moisture too long, and that's a death sentence. What you want is a cactus or succulent mix, something designed to let water flow through instead of pooling around the roots. If you only have standard potting soil, you can fix it. Mix in perlite, pumice, or coarse sand, about 1 part amendment to 2 parts soil. This creates air pockets and lets excess water escape. Here's why it matters. In dense, compact soil, water lingers, the roots suffocate, rot begins. And once rot starts, it spreads fast. Garden soil is even worse. It's heavy, it clumps, and it often carries pests or fungi you don't want indoors. Never use garden soil for indoor aloe, ever. The right soil is like giving your aloe the right foundation. Everything else, watering, growth, resilience, depends on it. Get this wrong and even perfect watering won't save you. And speaking of watering, we're getting closer to the most critical tips now. Number 3, light is everything. Number 3, light. If you get this wrong, nothing else you do will matter. Aloe needs bright, indirect sunlight, not dim corners, not blasting afternoon sun through a window, somewhere in between. Here's what happens when you miss the mark. Too little light and the leaves start stretching, reaching desperately toward whatever faint glow they can find. They lose their firm, upright structure and become floppy and pale. The plant looks weak because it is weak. Too much direct sun and the leaves literally burn. You'll see brown tips, sometimes entire patches that look scorched, like someone held a magnifying glass over them. The best spot in most homes is near a south-facing or west-facing window where the light is strong but filtered. If you don't have that, a simple grow light works. Even a few hours under one can turn a struggling aloe into a healthy one. But here's the detail most guides skip. Aloe leans toward light like a sunflower. If you don't rotate the pot every couple of weeks, you'll end up with a lopsided plant, all the leaves reaching in one direction. A quarter turn every time you water keeps it balanced and symmetrical. Get the light right, and you've already solved a massive part of the battle. But there are still 2 more tips that are even more important. Number 2, spotting problems before they spread. Number 2, learning to read your aloe's warning signs before disaster strikes. Most people wait until their plant is half dead before they realize something's wrong, but aloe talks to you. You just need to know what to look for. Wrinkled, thin leaves that look deflated, that's thirst. The plant has burned through its water reserves and needs a deep soak. Within a week or 2 of proper watering, those leaves will plump right back up. But here's where it gets tricky. Mushy, brown, or soft leaves, especially near the base, mean the opposite problem: overwatering. The roots are sitting in wet soil, suffocating, and rot is setting in. If you catch this early, you can still save the plant. Cut away the damaged leaves and repot in completely dry soil. Wait at least a week before watering again. Now, what about leaves turning red or brown, particularly at the tips or edges? That's sunburn. Your aloe is getting blasted by too much direct light, and the tissue is literally scorching. Move it to a spot with bright but filtered light, and it should recover. And here's a rule that applies to all of these issues. If a leaf is damaged, trim it off cleanly at the base. It sounds harsh, but removing dead or dying tissue lets the plant focus its energy on new, healthy growth instead of trying to repair what's already gone. Learning these signals early is like having a conversation with your plant. It tells you what's wrong, and you get to fix it before it's too late. But even if you master all of this, there's still one thing that kills more aloe plants than everything else combined. Number 1, watering the right way. And that brings us to number 1, watering. This is where most aloe plants die, not from neglect, from kindness, from people who care too much and water too often. The rule is simple, but it goes against every instinct you have as a plant owner. Soak and dry. When you water, you drench the soil completely until water runs out the bottom. Then you wait. You wait until the soil is bone dry before you even think about watering again. For most homes, that's every 2 to 3 weeks, sometimes longer. Aloe stores water in its thick leaves. It's built to survive drought. Watering it like a tropical plant is like force-feeding someone who's already full. The roots sit in wet soil, oxygen gets cut off, and rot sets in. You'll know it's happening when the leaves turn soft, mushy, or brown at the base. By then, the damage is serious. Here's the test. Stick your finger 2 inches into the soil. If it feels even slightly damp, wait. If it's dry, water. You can also lift the pot. A dry pot feels noticeably lighter than a wet one. And one more thing nobody talks about: use room temperature water. Cold water shocks the roots, especially in winter. Think of it like jumping into a freezing pool. Your body recoils. So do your plant's roots. This one habit, waiting until the soil is completely dry, will save more aloe plants than anything else on this list. It's the difference between a plant that survives and a plant that thrives. Master this and you've mastered aloe care, the bigger picture. Most of the mistakes people make with aloe, such as overwatering, using the wrong soil, and keeping it in low light, come from treating it like a typical houseplant. But aloe isn't typical. It's a desert survivor that's adapted to store water, endure drought, and thrive in bright, dry conditions. Once you stop fighting that nature and start working with it, everything becomes easier. The plant grows stronger. The leaves stay firm and green. And instead of worrying whether it's going to die, you start noticing new pups growing at the base, ready to be separated and shared. Aloe rewards you for understanding what it actually needs, not what you think it needs. Follow these 7 tips, especially that number 1 rule about watering, and your aloe won't just survive in your home. It'll thrive for years, maybe even decades. And that's the real lesson here. The plant isn't hard to care for, it's just been misunderstood.